Hey guys, welcome back to We Met at Acme. I'm so excited to be here with my dear friend and also the founder of this WhatsApp group that has been giving me life during this pregnancy, and the founder of this great Instagram account called Baby Rex, and just in general, a badass female founder because this isn't even her first rodeo. Please welcome my friend. I never say please welcome, but we're going to welcome today Lily.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
You're still in my phone as Lily Brines,
okay.
which is your maiden name.
Maiden name.
But now you're Lily Walla.
That's it.
And we've known each other for a long ass time.
I was thinking about it this morning in the shower. We have known each other for a really long time.
The first time you came into my life or like my peripheral or whatever was when you were dating that guy. That's how I knew you. This is a guy. He's still around, thank God.
He's great
for living and being alive. This was a guy that I think we all dated. He was such a player. I never dated him seriously.
Your best friend did.
My best friend did. She was like his first girlfriend, kind of. And then I made out with him at one point, which you're anyone thinking is oh my God, you did that to your best friend. No. It was understood
a thing.
that it was a rite of passage to make out with this guy.
Yeah.
So that's how I first knew about you. What about the reverse?
So I had a much different experience with this one guy because I dated him for a few years, and I first heard of you through your best friend that he dated before me. Now, what was happening while we were dating, I don't know. The more I know of this person, the more I learn about this person, I don't know. But I think we had something a little different, and then your best friend came back into the picture.
Oh, okay. I remember at some point, and keep in mind my memory is very blurry from these times.
They weren't dark days.
They weren't dark days, but it was a long time ago.
And and your little Spence skirt rolled up.
Yeah. I also obviously, I'm sober now. So everything's kind of a blur from the past for me. But I do remember that I was supposed to not like you. When your friend, you were the other girl who was dating the guy. So I remember being being told I was supposed to not like you. So it's possible that that's why we never actually were able to get
because I'm wait, you're around all the time. I've literally known you since I'm 15 years old. Yet we're we don't even really know each other.
We don't really.
We went to one destination wedding together.
We did. We went to, we could say her name because it's in good graces. We went to Jenna's wedding.
Jenna's wedding. It was amazing.
It was so fun. I was with a boyfriend at the time, but he was
I remember I was
in the room.
You were shitting on Botox at that wedding.
Oh, I was a Botox hater because I hadn't gotten it yet because I hadn't yet turned 30.
It's amazing.
No. I wasn't shitting on Botox, period.
Oh.
I was shitting on getting it before you're 30.
I
knew the day would come.
Some friends that had Botox looked really old. I remember.
Oh my God. Are you sure we weren't talking about filler?
No, we were definitely talking about Botox.
Really?
Yeah, I think you were once a Botox hater. Are you in the community
Botox
now?
hater. You know what? Let's normalize changing our minds.
I like that.
Because I love Botox. In fact, I miss it every moment that I'm pregnant.
need it so badly. I crave the needle in my forehead.
No, I love it. Yeah, I love it. I still maintain my hate for filler, which I also say could change. Who knows?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I haven't made the filler call yet. I see the value.
Yeah.
But I'm just not there.
I see the value. For your face, I don't see the value.
Small upper lip,
Oh, no, don't do the lip. The lip, I'll change what I said before at the wedding. The lip ages you. The Botox freezes you. Amazing. Freezes you at your age. The
never
lip
say
ages.
never. That's
Never
my biggest parenting lesson.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I learned a lesson today. I can't believe I was a Botox hater.
You were a Botox hater.
I never say never is my lesson as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. God, who was I?
I don't know.
I think that was also pre-sobriety. Thank God that I'm a different person now. I don't know. Maybe not.
See, like I never this is how much I didn't know you. Like
Right.
I didn't even know if you were like what were your substances? I remember we maybe smoked weed together.
Weed. It
once.
was so much
I
weed.
love weed.
Yeah. Weed wasn't good for me.
Not good for
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Because it was just excessive.
I'm so happy that you realize that about yourself. It's so interesting because I have such a creative experience with weed. Like it
Mhm.
turns me almost into a better person.
That's so great. That's probably because of the volume that you use it.
Yeah.
Which is great. If you can use something and it helps you and has no negative
Yeah.
side effects, then that's amazing.
Yeah.
Truly.
I hope you find that in
Well,
life.
it wouldn't be
Not in a substance,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
in something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it definitely made me creative at some points in my life, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But just,
It's a slippery slope.
yeah, it was a slippery slope. I think I enjoyed it too much.
Mm.
Too much creativity
Too much.
can go too far.
Everything in moderation.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. But backing up a little bit,
Yes.
Lily, how old are you and where are you from? Even though I know these things, but for our listeners,
I'm 32. I'm from Manhattan. What was the third part of the question?
that was it.
Oh.
And then, what is your favorite romantic gesture?
Like, what's my love language?
Sure. Or the way that I interpret this question is like, what when someone does, do you really like? So it doesn't have to be your love language. It could just be like when he brings me coffee, you know.
I'm an like acts of service girl. So like come home, house is clean, like things are tidy to my standards, and
Mhm.
like a date night is planned.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
And like childcare is taken care of.
And what is your current relationship status?
I'm married to an amazing man named Samson, and we live in Brooklyn with our 2-year-old.
And you guys, I remember, had an interesting story. I want to say that you met on Tinder,
We met on Tinder,
which is
beta Tinder.
like Tinder
Early days.
before it really opened
Yep,
up.
I was a senior in college. I went to school in DC. The app glitched and registered my now husband as being in DC. He wasn't. So we matched coincidentally. And we have a lot of weird overlaps. Like we went to the same college. We're both from the city. And we moved in together 6 months after we met.
It's really cute. But so he went to the same college, but he's older?
He's 2 years older.
Okay.
So he was back in New York and I was still in DC.
That's really cute.
So
And you guys moved in after 6 months, and then you
got a dog.
You didn't get married right away.
No, we got a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And which we can talk about because it comes back into my biggest motherhood lesson of never say never. We moved in together, got a dog, we got engaged. Like it took a while to get engaged. We were so young and like just getting to know each other. Got engaged in Big Sur and then married in 2019.
Mm-hmm. So I had a really interesting conversation yesterday with a friend of mine who's a mom as well.
Ooh, sorry.
She's a mom of 2.
Yeah.
Wait, let's just fix your mic a little because it went to the side. Perfect.
Your mom of 2.
And we had a really interesting conversation. You might have seen it. I posted it on like my silly little baby We Met a Baby Instagram. And the conversation was that no woman gets out unscathed when it comes to having a child or even not having a child. Okay? Hear me out. Either like they get like, I don't want to say fucked, but like they get one of these issues, right? Either 1, trying to conceive, fertility. 2, the actual pregnancy itself and like, nausea or pain, whatever it is, right? Number 3, labor and delivery, like some sort of issue there or just like trauma.
You're having a doula?
I do. Yeah, I have a doula. And 4, because you could have them all, right? Postpartum depression or anxiety or just some sort of postpartum disaster, let's say, right? Or whatever. Do you agree that like no one kind of gets out unscathed? Like you could have no problem with trying to conceive, but then you might have a hard pregnancy, and then you could have no problem with a pregnancy, but then you might have a traumatic C-section. Like it's hard to get out completely unscathed. And then on the other hand, if you decide to have no kids, like you still might experience, something.
I can't speak for the no kids, but what I can speak for is the hindsight. So I went through pregnancy. I was nauseous the whole way through. By the end of my pregnancy, I couldn't walk. My foot hurt so badly. I got rocked by postpartum depression, which we can talk about. I'm very open about it. During a time where a really big traumatic thing in my life happened, which it comes back actually to the never say never, which our dog at the time attacked my 7-month-old in the face. So lots of things were going on in that time. And yeah, of course, I wish my kid didn't get bit by our dog, but the hindsight of where all of that brought me and the clarity and the perspective now I feel allows me to show up as a better mom. And so I see it as strength. And so, yeah, I'm sure we can call it unscathed, but in some ways it's your journey and it's special. Yeah, do men have it easier? 100%.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely, I'm not saying that to say, don't have a kid or don't do this. It makes you stronger. I think I'm more saying it to unite women as don't be jealous that Susie, got pregnant on her wedding night and is having an amazing pregnancy. You have no idea what Susie's going to experience down the line. It's not a competition of who has the easiest time in all 4 of these moments, right?
Yes. It's if you know, you know. And once you get pregnant or you are expecting, however you're expecting, you get brought into this club. And it should be, I experience support from other women in that regard. I hope that's what you find in your mom friends. But yeah, the strength is what I'm trying to bring together for this brand.
Yeah, and I love that. And I felt even, I think I only joined this WhatsApp group
recently,
which at the moment that we're speaking is called Village.
Yep.
I only joined once I was pregnant, but I do feel, and I had a friend who has kids validate this in me, that the moment I started to conceive was when I really started to feel in that kind of community.
Yep.
The moment I started really trying to have a baby is when
you needed support.
You needed support, and also being pregnant myself now, if I have a friend who's trying to conceive, I feel closer to them. Just because that is they say the 4th trimester is postpartum. I feel like there's the -1 trimester, which is trying to get pregnant or that journey.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. And I know your experience getting here was difficult. My reality is that just wasn't the case for me. So our son was a complete surprise. Not complete. I mean, I had my IUD out, but we weren't trying. And I feel a little left out of that -1 club because it's embarrassing probably the amount that I know about. I don't know anything about these ovulation sticks or tracking. And I feel there are moms that definitely bond over that. And I felt left out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's a funny perspective because you never think that anyone would envy that in any way.
I know.
Not that you really envy it, but just would feel FOMO from something so awful and shitty.
Yeah, I guess maybe I, from the outside, have seen the power that moms in that stage bring, what that evokes.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And so then you ended up becoming a mom. You had your adorable child.
Jackson. Yeah.
Which is another, by the way, but I will give you credit that you started it. But now,
the trend of Jackson.
But now everyone's Jackson, but you started it.
So I call him Jackie.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm leaning into that yet. I love the name Jackson. It's very popular. But my husband's Samson, so Samson and Jackson.
It wasn't as popular when you named him that. you
I
know,
started.
that's
Thanks for saying
totally,
that.
yeah, no, it's true.
Thank you.
Um, and you alluded to a trauma with
Mm-hmm.
your dog who
Mm-hmm.
you had for
Mm-hmm.
years
Yeah.
before your son came into the picture. Um, what did you learn from that? You said you learned a lot.
So, yeah, we had our dog Ryder for 8 years. He was our firstborn, the like center of mine and Samson's whole world. Um, and he was always a little aggressive. We had fears, but one night when I wasn't home, Ryder went after Jackson and 40 lacerations to the face, like plastic surgery, horrible. And we were heartbroken, but my whole pregnancy, it was like really hard for me to like wrap my head around that like I could love anything more than Ryder. Like Ryder was my whole world. And so I was always like, oh no, like I'm not going to be one of those moms like where she completely ignores her dog. Like, obviously my kid will come first, but like I'll always love him. And I had trouble picturing loving something more. And then I had Jackson, and it's like, well, never say never, because definitely loved Jackson more. And we tried forever to rehome Ryder, 5 long months of living like basically in a jail, keeping them separate. And we got so much judgment from family. And then ultimately, after 5 months, decided to put him down.
Yeah. What can you tell, like, to people listening who might have dogs
Yeah.
before they have kids? Like, what advice can you give? Are there any signs? Like, how do you
Yeah.
know?
Definitely now have the knowledge, I guess, in hindsight, and I became like an expert in a nightmare situation. And so because I was so public about this, I kind of I've spoken to like 10 plus women over the last 2 years about this, because you make a really valid point. I'm sure there are people listening to this who know exactly what I'm talking about, because it is so common, and that I didn't know. And so like if I ever get a dog again, like the dog is an animal, it's treated like an animal, and that's how it goes. And what I mean by that is like it's not cute when your dog is licking your baby's face and like cleaning up the food. That should never be happening. Like really, animals should not be allowed on the furniture. Like there are certain boundaries I wish I put into play, but like first of all, he was our baby. He slept in our bed. Like we were babies when we got him. So yeah, it's not easy to hear those things because everyone wants to treat their animal well, but they're animals, and we learned the hard way.
Yeah. Would you say, because I definitely want to get a dog
Mhm.
with my family,
Mhm.
my future
Mhm.
family. I've always said, and like my parents did it this way, that, we'll get a dog when our kids start asking for a dog. And that's so that like, they learn responsibility and things like that. Do you think that if you're considering having a child and having a dog at
Mhm.
some point,
Which
right,
we will.
that you should wait until like the kid is a little older? Like, what's the best case scenario? I mean, it's hard to know, but
I think it's really a matter of it comes down really to every dog is so different, but I do think there's a benefit of a child being there. I mean, listen, I'm not an expert, but a child being there and a dog coming into that scenario, then vice versa. So
yeah.
like, I don't know if age really makes a difference, although most common and like the parents I've spoken to about this, it's been around when the child starts to crawl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that because I feel like, and of course, like, I'm sure it's different with different breeds and different dog
Yeah.
personalities and, whatever, dog zodiac signs.
Is that a thing?
Perhaps.
I need that.
What was Ryder's sign, by the way?
He was May 11th. That was
Okay,
like
a
his
Taurus.
given birthday.
When's Jackson's birthday?
August 30th.
Okay, interesting.
Don't you need to know Samson's?
I know Samson's. He's a Gemini.
Oh.
Yeah, I asked you at the wedding, and I never forget the
Huh.
sign. But
It's insane.
I know it's a weird thing. But what was I saying? Oh, I don't know.
Ryder. Children, the age. of the dog?
Like, oh, I'm sure it's different with, based on the dog, but I always felt like dog, human, whoever's there first is going to be territorial. Like,
Yeah.
even with your first kid, when you have a second kid, if that's your journey, like,
Yeah.
he's gonna be like, who the fuck is
Yeah.
this? You know?
I just think that if you think you have a reason to be worried, to address it and take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's situation is unique.
So I imagine going through this when you're 7 months postpartum.
So depressed.
Like, if you weren't depressed by then, I imagine this made you extremely depressed.
Yeah, so it's actually interesting because I was so depressed.
Immediately postpartum.
Like, I think even before I had Jackson, if I'm being completely honest. My last business was so hands-on. I was way too involved. I I couldn't rely on my staff. It was not a good time in my life with that company. And I had Jackson. I had a C-section, and I was like back at work 2 weeks later. And I think like the whole thing just like sent me into a dark spiral. Like, not suicidal, but like I remember like definitely not suicidal, but I remember driving and being like, oh, if that car like hit me and like I died, it like wouldn't be the worst thing. Like, I didn't want to drive off the road, but it was
Right.
like dark, like really dark.
Mm.
And Zoloft saved me, I think.
Yeah, that's incredible. Is there anything like looking back that you could have done to like avoid feeling that way, or like it's
No.
can be inevitable?
I think like the people around you need to be aware, and like you need to be self-aware-ish if you can, and be able to acknowledge what doesn't feel normal. But sometimes people don't see it.
Was there a history of
No.
postpartum in your family?
No.
Mm-hmm.
But you asked me this in regards to the trauma in Ryder, and
Yeah.
I think that I was just starting to feel like myself again. And in a really unique way, it like brought me and Samson together, and like we were able to really find our way back to each other because we got a lot of family judgment, but we were so on the same page that
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to find the silver linings in everything these days, and like maybe that's
No,
it.
that's amazing. Like, anytime there's some sort of conflict, especially with your family, where you and your partner are so on the same page.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing, just like, I made the right choice.
Yeah, I was like,
feeling.
oh yeah, I chose you.
Yeah, like you're the one for me.
Yeah.
Like, you get it. Like,
Speaking of,
yeah.
I've known Steven
Oh, right.
since I'm 7 years old.
Steven and Lily went to camp together, which is hilarious.
Hilarious. And he has a sister.
He's a sister,
And I remember
Dana.
from camp, she has a nut allergy.
She has a very serious
Like,
nut allergy.
that's like, I know Stephen Green. What was her name?
Dana.
Dana
Yeah,
Green.
she's a doctor.
Dana Green's a doctor now.
She's a doctor.
Tell her I say hi.
I will. She's amazing. But like it's funny because we were like at a family dinner, a few weeks ago, and like something was brought up at the family dinner, and like Steven and I like immediately like kind of locked eyes and like knew we were on the same page about something, and it was nice.
Yeah.
Like those feelings. And so
Yeah.
I'm curious, like obviously, that brought you and Samson closer together in terms of your bond, but I imagine you had no sex drive after losing Ryder. But you never
That's
know.
interesting.
Tell us.
After losing Ryder, I don't know. I mean, like, let's step back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, and I want to apologize to my husband, and I'm a liability on a podcast, so we'll see what happens here.
Lily's a Scorpio, by the way, for anyone curious.
And my birthday's 11/11.
It's on Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, you have the same birthday as a lot of people that I really love,
Leonardo DiCaprio.
including Leonardo DiCaprio.
Mhm. That's like,
and my one of my favorite women in the world, who's such a fucking boss.
ooh, who is it?
Yeah, her name's Robin. I'll
Great.
tell you about her later.
I want to know about her. Is she in the WhatsApp?
She's not. She's like a mom. She's like she's just
No, I'm
turning
joking,
50. Yeah.
remember who I'm talking about?
Oh, hilarious.
What were we talking about?
We were backing up to like you had a
sex
baby
drive.
sex.
Have
Let's back up real far, right?
Let's
How
back
about
up.
sex during your pregnancy?
Sex during my pregnancy was a thing during the golden trimester, which is the second trimester.
Mm-hmm.
Come the third trimester, I was like, don't come near me.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I like screenshot some photos to show you. I was like, what? I like went back to be like, what was those first 6 weeks like? My boobs, first of all, were
Wait, now we're talking about the fourth trimester.
yeah. I mean, sex during pregnancy was kind of normal.
Mhm.
What detail do you want there?
No. Did it
Drive.
hurt? Did you have to change positions?
Being on top was out of the picture for me.
Oh, interesting. That's the only picture for me. Really?
I
mean,
feel like you had bigger boobs once.
oh, are you kidding?
Are they huge?
They're huge. They've always been huge. I'm very good at hiding them.
Yeah, you're very good at hiding them. I feel like we have very similar
I
sizes.
never wear padded.
Ever.
Before pregnancy, I was a D, like could be a C, and now I'm like a Z.
Yeah. Okay, so my like oh God. I never wanted to have my boobs right there. Like they were so heavy.
Yeah, I will say like I feel like my boobs are perkier in pregnancy because they're so like plump.
They're gonna get so perky. There's like a good breastfeeding
Yeah.
boob. Like if you go that route, like not the beginning. The beginning.
Mhm.
Have you seen like our size boobs engorged before?
I feel like I'm looking at them every
Okay,
day.
not like nobody talk about things you're not warned for.
Yeah.
You are not warned for if
Oh
you
my God.
have a successful breastfeeding journey, which I hope you did, which is what I had. Your boobs are going to be literal rocks. Like
God.
horrible.
I,
Nobody talks about it.
okay, so you have the baby.
Okay, so let's
you
back
get
up.
cleared for sex.
You have the baby. I had a C-section.
Right. So
6 weeks later, I get cleared for sex. It's hilarious.
but technically, right, and tell me if I'm wrong, if you have a C-section because
Yes.
it's not vaginal,
Yes.
you can probably have sex right away. I mean, like you had surgery. Hold on, let me clarify. Like you had surgery,
Mhm.
right? But if we're talking technicalities,
I think there are a lot of paths to C-sections, and I
Mhm.
am only familiar with my own, which was I also pushed for 3 hours.
oh, I hate that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it's okay. So I don't know what a straight C, like if we were to go
Mhm.
just that route. Sex, I mean, you don't see your doc. I didn't even see my doctor for the first time until 6 weeks, and I had major surgery,
Right.
which is a whole other subject, which is why I'm so glad you're having a doula, because I didn't, and I didn't have anyone advocating for me.
right.
And it was hard. Sex
Mm.
after was horrible. And like 6 weeks after, that is not what you want to be doing.
Not at all.
Like, I couldn't think of anything worse. I think I even like told my husband I wasn't cleared, like jokingly, and then I'm not gonna and then he knew I was joking, but like it was really painful. It's like
And you did it because like he
Right.
wanted to do it and you were being like
I
trying to
think
be
yeah,
nice.
like
Yeah.
first of all, I think that, and I feel like you may feel like this too, but or I hope you feel like this. Like I think my husband as a dad is hot. Like
Mhm.
there's nothing more attractive to me than my husband with our son. And so I wanted to show appreciation for that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like his world got rocked too. I mean, minimally compared to mine.
Right.
And like zero sympathy
Zero.
for his journey
Mm-hmm.
here. But like he did have a journey here.
Right.
Like
Right.
I wanted to honor it,
Mm-hmm.
but it is real bad. Hurts. It's like a virgin. And like the problem is I don't even remember losing my virginity. So this was like losing my virginity.
Right. But I I wonder, like, I'm assuming you spoke about this with your friends who had a vaginal birth.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Like,
and you like
do you
lube is
think-
the name of the game.
but do you think that as horrible as it is, it's more horrible for them?
Oh, than me?
Yeah. Do you know what
That's
I'm saying?
interesting. Yeah, I it all depends, because what if you tore? What if you didn't? Like some of those some of those women writing in on
Right.
the Instagram were saying that like it didn't hurt because they didn't rip. Who knows if that's the case?
Mm-hmm.
My experience was it was very dry. It was very painful, and like lube saved us.
Interesting. And previously, had you ever used lube?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is
'Cause-
that not a thing?
No. It definitely
I mean,
can
I
be.
didn't need lube, but like there were
Uh-huh.
times I experimented with lube.
Yeah, of course.
Like a dabble.
Yeah, no, I honestly, like, as weird as it sounds, like, would be looking forward to, like, something dry because I've always been
I
in,
know,
like, the
you're a
WAP
wop.
range. Yeah.
You've always said that. And I've known that about you since you're like 15.
Is that
Some regard.
so?
I don't know. Were you slutty in high school?
Not at all. Like,
See,
couldn't have been less
like
slutty.
I could have if you had to ask me if I thought you were slutty or not, I would have said 100% slutty.
I mean, I'll take it. I had a boyfriend all of high school.
Who was your boyfriend? You'll tell me later?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, we could have been going on double date.
Yeah. I don't know if he would vibe with yours.
Oh, I was like married, it felt like.
I was really married too, but I'm curious, like, from my mouth to your ears about WAP or something else?
No, your mouth.
Okay.
I feel like you've told me that like multiple
That's
times.
so funny. You're like, we barely know each other, but you told me
I know
that you had a
what
WAP.
that's supposed to
It's really
like your party fact.
honestly, I swear it's not, but I guess it is. Who knows? I think, you know what I think it is? Like, I always was open with other women about like a discharge moment, you know?
Mhm.
Like, I always wanted to normalize that stuff.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me at all.
No, it doesn't bother me.
No,
but
but
like,
that's
probably
were
how my WAP stuff came up. Because I was like, oh, just like discharge again.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I hope you have that natural
I
lube.
hope, yeah, no, but I hope but not I hope to be dry, but like it'd be nice.
Drier is a
Yeah, it'd be nice to be a little
yeah,
drier.
it must be inconvenient to be that wet. Like, do you do a lot of laundry?
I do. I really do. It's
Yeah.
really annoying. But enough about my WAP. Let's talk about we talked a little bit about sex.
I will
After,
say,
yeah.
I think, I don't know if you're like a vibrator in the bedroom person. That was helpful in the 4th trimester.
I feel like that would hurt more than a real penis.
It was helpful.
Okay, good to
Yeah.
know. Okay. This question was really interesting. Someone said, did anything get better sex/marriage wise post kids? Because it feels like we only hear about the negative. Be honest.
I'm trying to think about it. I mean, if you're breastfeeding and you have a lot of milk, your tits literally spray milk. So if you think that's attractive, then maybe that gets better. It is horrible.
But also, like, you could talk to marriage as well.
Oh,
not
marriage.
Just, not just sex.
I'm trying to tell myself this as I hire for this business, and when I think about my life at home, that like good relationships should just be easy. And we definitely have been rocked by parenting, but at the same time, it's also, I think, because of Ryder, like we've had a responsibility, like that wasn't new to us, but we are so on the same page when it comes to how we want to raise Jackson. And like the only thing I care about are just like that Jackson turns out kind and like he's a good person and he has strong values. And like we're so aligned on that yeah, of course we're like bickering, but our North Star is so clear and that helps us. So I hope that you're able to find that same page with Steven, because it's a nice place to be with a dad.
But do you feel like, yeah, no, go ahead.
Are you having a boy?
Yeah.
Boys are the best.
But do you feel like you sometimes find yourself just talking about your kid? Like, how do you not just do that?
Start a business.
Yeah. But he's not involved in your business.
No, but we're talking a lot about our business. My business. Our business, I guess. We talk a lot about Jackson, but that brings a lot of joy. We talk a lot about my business. We talk. Sometimes I'm like, what the fuck did we used to talk about?
Right.
Like, literally, sometimes I try to picture my life. I lived in the same apartment. We didn't have Jackson. I had a dog. Like, what did we do?
Well,
So
so I guess I'll tell you what we're talking
tell
about
me.
right now,
Yeah.
and maybe it'll bring you
Yeah.
back. I mean, we're talking about, you know, our jobs, our careers. We're talking about our families, our friends, our
We're
like
doing a lot
life
of that.
goals,
Yeah.
like our living situations, like what we
Like
want to
decorating.
change or keep, or if we want to
Yeah.
move or not. Like, we're talking about our days.
What are you doing together?
We're having dinner. We're
Going out?
going out with
Yeah.
friends. We like, obviously not now, but before we're going on trips
Yeah.
and things like that.
So I guess like we're doing all of those things too. I just think, yeah, a lot of it is Jackson.
Well, I think that's really normal.
Yeah, how could it not be? You like are creating this
How I
thing
mean, my
together.
parents to this day talk about me probably 40% of the things that they talk about
Yeah. But
is me, 40% is my sister, and then like the 20% is everything else I just said, right?
maybe to look at it then, like I can I I see a lot of different relationships. Like I have a ton of mom friends. It's been kind of like eye-opening to be an outsider looking in on other people's relationships. And I don't mean like judging them, but there are obvious things. Like there are certain dads that definitely don't want to talk about their kids as much as Samson
Mm.
wants to talk about Jackson. There are certain dads that aren't around as much. There are certain moms that aren't. Like it's just really interesting to see all different dynamics.
How do you figure out what you want to be, especially as like an entrepreneur?
What type of mom I want to be.
Yeah, like your mom worked
Mhm.
when you were growing up.
Mhm.
My mom didn't.
Mhm.
Um and so like what how did that affect how you wanted to show up as a mom?
I'm trying to figure out how I want to show up to me.
Mhm.
And like part of that is being really intentional. Intentional with my time, intentional about how I talk to my kid, letting him know that like if I'm taking time away from him, it's because I'm doing something for me and that's equally as important. And I hope this company turns into something that he can be proud of. But more importantly, hope it turns into something I can be proud of. So, like, he understands everything. I'm just like talking to him.
Mhm.
So, who I want to be is intentional,
Mhm.
and how I want to do it. Like, right now, I'm really enjoying working. I feel like I was like meant to do this.
Do you feel like your experience with the C-section and all that stuff kind of scarred you in a way that you're like not rushing to have another child, or like what, are those conversations that come up or you figured them out already?
It's interesting because somebody asked me, like, I think yesterday, do you think men ever think about timing when it comes to when they should have a kid? Like, when it comes to work.
Oh, when it comes to work? No.
Yeah. So this question is interesting, especially since I've been more of a public facing mom these days, because I'm getting asked all the time when I'm having my second kid. And work, sadly, I mean, I'm a founder, so I'm sure there are guy founders that maybe have to think about this, but like, work is a huge consideration for me when it comes to time. Like, I have a second kid right now. It's a business, it's a baby. And like, it would be really hard for me to be in pain or like nauseous right now. Like, I'm in heads down mode. I forget the question. Where was I going?
It was really just like about a second kid. Like if your
Oh,
mind
and
is made up and
C-section.
like if,
Yeah. So I definitely want a second kid. I don't know when it is going to be. I don't think there's a right time. Like, you just make it work. And some days are for momming really hard and some days are for working really hard and like you'll figure the whole thing out. Um the C-section is appealing to me again
interesting.
because I had a really bad labor and delivery experience.
Mm-hmm.
I barely saw a doctor. I had one nurse. My mom and Samson literally had, oh, and by the way, I had my mom in the room. I know that's like relatively controversial. Happy to talk about that.
I would have my mom in the room if I didn't have a doula.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know your mom at all, but I feel like from the outside, your relationship looks really nice.
Yeah, she would be great vibes in the room. Like
Yeah.
she would know when to shut the fuck up
Yeah.
and when to like come hold my hand.
My mom, I literally could not have pushed without Samson and my mom physically like lifting me. My experience was horrible. And it was during a nurse's strike. And I think I was like the doctor's like 8th C-section of the night. I was so fucked up on meds, which is why the doula I think is really, really a good idea. I would have a doula next time.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody had asked if you're already resentful towards your significant other, like they're not even your husband, about like dishes and cleaning when you live together. Should you avoid having kids with them?
This is a really hard question. I still have those issues with my partner. I don't think that's a reason not to have kids with a person. Like, we have a reel that is performing very well right now, and it is clear that the content that is relatable are women carrying more of a load than their male partners. Like, my husband would be the first to admit it. Women take on a lot. The mental load is real.
Yeah.
And so I think, can I say that's a man thing? Like, is that allowed to be said?
Obviously.
The resentment and the like lack of, men need to somehow figure out appreciation for this.
I agree. I think resentment you can move past, but like contempt and just like thinking you're better than your partner is a different
Yeah,
beast.
that just sounds like a shitty person. That person you shouldn't have kids with.
Right. If you're like, he's not doing the dishes because he's a lazy piece of shit who like does nothing for our relationship, that's a little deeper than like, he didn't do the dishes. Like, when's he gonna learn?
Okay, I have a question for you. Do you feel validated at home?
Definitely.
So yeah, go ahead. I want to hear more.
No, I just like, it's the beginning of my pregnancy was hard in terms of physical support from Steven because he had back surgery like at the end of my first trimester. And it was really hard.
Yeah.
And
you had to get like attention.
Yeah. And it was all about him. And like literally like my mother-in-law and like my grandmother-in-law would call me and be like, how's he doing? And I'm like, what about me? And they're going to listen to this and I hope they don't feel bad because I'm just really, I'm joking, but like.
Yeah, I get it. Like what?
But like, it was like the Steven show and like still people are asking about his back surgery. And by the way, like, Steven, I don't know if you remember Steven, but like, that's the last thing he would want is like for it to be about him. Like,
yeah,
he's not that vibe.
Attention doesn't seem
not an attention whore.
Doesn't he not have social media?
He doesn't have social media. Like
so
he literally, if it were up to him, no one would know he had back surgery. And unfortunately, he did. And so that was really annoying. And I continuously expressed my resentments and feelings and annoyances. And he validated them every time. He was like, you're right. Like, it shouldn't be about me. Like, and like, I'm going to give you the kind of massage that I can give you having just had back surgery as opposed to the kind of massage that you really want.
Like, which is like me walking on your back.
Literally.
Yeah. I'm so happy to hear that.
Do you feel validated at home?
So I think I want to talk a little broader, like my experience I'm happy to get into, but what I'm learning from mothers in general is that they don't feel seen. And they don't feel seen at home, and they don't feel seen at work, and they feel seen only with their mom friends. And that is what I'm trying to figure out when it comes to this business. Now, hear me out on where I'm going with this. But Samson has always loved fantasy football. And I feel like, were you a sporty girl?
I played sports in high school.
I'm like sporty. I don't know, like all girls can be sporty. I was a sporty girl.
I played sports in high school, but I never cared about sports teams.
I like both.
Mhm.
I like tracking a team. I mean, I'm not obsessed, but like I've always been envious of Samson's fantasy football. Like I think the camaraderie is fun, the game is fun, like the drafting is fun. And so I'm like I've always been thinking about that concept. And then when I became a mom, shopping, researching, recommending products to my mom friends became my fantasy football. And something I'm trying to do in the WhatsApp and something I'm trying to definitely do for this business is how can we make moms feel validated? And what are fantasy, like the equivalent of fantasy football points for moms?
Mhm.
So that's what I'm working on now.
It's very cool.
Big undertaking.
I love it. On that note, we are coming up to our mark. So I want to ask you some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
These are just fun. You know that we do these poll questions on We Met at Acme's Instagram. So I'm gonna ask you a few.
Okay.
If you get to the restaurant before your date, do you wait outside or get the table and text them where you're sitting?
Get the table and text them where
I
I'm sitting.
agree. Is chili meant to be eaten with chips or with a spoon?
Both.
Okay.
And some cheese and sour cream.
Would you rather stay in a job you hate but you have stability, money, and benefits, or take a new job, risky, pay cut, but you love the people around you?
I mean, if that person, the latter person, is looking for a job, call me.
When did you and Samson say I love you?
Oh, right away.
Oh.
Yeah.
Your babies.
Yeah.
If you move in with your boyfriend to their place, are you overreacting if you ask him to get a new mattress?
Absolutely not.
Mm.
You?
I would never do that. Like I would just never move into someone's place. But if I did, yeah, we'd get a new one together.
Yeah, I don't want to move into someone else's place. I don't know if I'd make them get a new mattress if like it was an amazing mattress.
Yeah, it depends on the mattress. It depends. Do you share your social media with your colleagues? I guess
Sydney's filming this whole thing and has access to
Literally.
my whole life, including my bank account.
literally.
Do you have someone who does your content?
You're looking at her.
Jesus. It
Yeah.
is so much work.
It's a lot of work. Lil, can you leave us with a quote or piece of advice that we can take away?
I guess let's go with the theme and just if you're thinking about becoming a parent, going through the journey now, try to never say never and be intentional with whatever style of parenting you want to do.
I love it. Where can everybody find you, follow you, join your communities?
Join our community at Baby Rex, Baby RECS, and soon we'll be making a lot of announcements, including our brand name and our whole business.
Awesome. Love it. Thank
you
you.
for having me.
Thanks for coming.
This is so fun.